I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, Milwaukee's going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Things that both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Here we go at Oakmont. Let's start with the course. What do we know about this course? How long is the rough, and does course history come into effect for you this week?
The U.S. Open has always been billed as the most difficult test of golf there is on the planet. And I tell you what, it's often labeled as the most difficult golf course in the world is Oakmont.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Stars on the move as mega trades send shockwaves throughout Major League Baseball and the NBA. Plus, Ohtani is back on the mound Monday for the first time since 2023. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Front Office Sports Today from FOS Studios here in New York City. I'm Baker Machado.
And I'm Renee Washington, and thank you guys so much for joining us each and every weekday. We're chatting the biggest stories happening in the business and culture of sports. We also have WNBA legend Sylvia Fowles joining us to talk about her Hall of Fame induction this weekend and the ongoing CBA talks. But first, let's talk and get into the shoot-around.
Yes, indeed, and let's start with the PGA Tour. Journeyman J.J. Spaun defied 150-1 odds, Renee, and won the U.S. Open over the weekend, including a record-tying $4.3 million purse. That's the most money ever offered at one of golf's 4 major championships. And also, interestingly, nearly a quarter of what his career earnings were coming into the tournament. I mean, by the way, he almost didn't win this. This almost went into overtime at the end of the day. But what a wild story here.
It is wild when you also sprinkle in the fact it's the $21.5 million purse. That's the same as last year. And we had the first time J.J. Spaun wins it, as you mentioned, his biggest paycheck. But also, he hasn't won anything in terms of major tournaments. This is a guy that has had 1 victory in his 235 previous starts. He had 2 lost tour cards, and this isn't someone that was actively competing for any sort of tour championship. But that 1 hour, 36-minute rain delay helped him tremendously to kind of reset the ship and allowed him to be able to take over that top spot. And it's fantastic to see him get this win. And also, at one point, the winner's purse back in 1962, Jack Nicklaus, was $17,500 out of a total $73,800. So a massive boost when you look at the purse over the years, maybe not in comparison to last year.
And just really quickly, just according to the sport books, that 150-1 odds, if you put $100 on him going into it, you would have come out $15,000 richer because of this. Elsewhere, the NBA Finals aren't even over yet as we await Game 5 tonight. And the ratings obviously have struggled a bit, but the NBA offseason already fully ablaze as the Memphis Grizzlies traded star Desmond Bane to Orlando for 2 players and 4 first-round picks. Now, acquiring Bane gives Orlando the 8th highest payroll heading into next season. And Renee, a huge haul on both sides. But is this going to be the new sort of standard asking price for a lot of teams heading into the offseason for Durant and Giannis and everybody else?
Well, it is a huge haul, but it actually makes sense for both teams, too. I mean, Orlando gets to dump 2 very large contracts in KCP and Cole, guys that also dipped in productivity in minutes. And then on the other side for Memphis, it now allows them to go and renegotiate a contract with Jaren Jackson Jr. They've also talked about John Morant and their future implications. So for both teams, it makes sense. But then also, as you mentioned, for the market, I think this is kind of where we're going to see the market shift. Other names, Kevin Durant being one of them that's out there, that possibly, if this is what Bane received, who is going to be getting $163 million over the next 4 years. what is Kevin Durant going to get? It just leads to more questions for what this offseason is really going to look like.
Yeah, we're going to get to that a little bit later on the show with our Alex Schiffer, who's going to break down what Durant's market could even look like. And after almost 2 years of waiting, Shohei Ohtani finally takes the mound tonight in his first start for the Dodgers, and also his first start since 2023 when he played for the Angels. Ohtani will only pitch 1 inning against the Padres in his debut. Elsewhere, Phillies ace Zach Wheeler, baseball's highest paid pitcher, who is in the middle of his $126 million deal. He tells The Athletic, Renee, he plans to retire when that contract is up in 2027. So what do you think is the bigger news here?
I'm putting my Phillies fan base aside because obviously as a fan of the Phillies, this is painful. He just signed that extension last March in 2024, which guaranteed him as the highest extension we've seen with that $42 million AAV. And he's also pitching like a Cy Young favorite, top in whip, top with a 2.85 ERA.
Yeah.
And he's been tremendous. And now he's talking about regardless of what happens, off of the heels of the birth of his 4th child earlier this month, he's done in 2027. But Shohei Ohtani as an opener tonight, when we weren't expecting to see him until after All-Star break, that is absolutely the bigger news for baseball. But for me, it's Zach Wheeler.
Yeah, now Ohtani's return to the mound comes at a good time for the Dodgers as NL West rival San Francisco pulled off a stunning trade over the weekend, acquiring Red Sox star Rafael Devers. So let's get into this in our main event. And let's bring in the reporter who broke the scoop of this trade, Robert Murray, MLB insider over at Fansided. Robert, congratulations on a big scoop. Tell us how this all came about.
Yeah, it was not something that was on my radar, and I appreciate it, by the way. But it happened very quickly. The two sides have been talking for quite a while, and the Giants needed a bat. Buster Posey made that very clear when he was talking to the media yesterday. They had been surveying the market. They were looking at a few different options, but Devers was the most appealing. He was a game-changing option for them. And when it became clear that they could actually get him and not have to give up like a ton of value, that was an opportunity where the Giants had to do it. They struck. It's a franchise-altering move, if we're being honest. Like Devers, a player of that caliber at his age, never becomes available. And now he joins the Giants lineup that has Matt Chapman, Willie Adames. Their pitching staff is very good. Like as of this point, you have to look at the Giants as a very serious contender. It's a great move overall by them.
It is, and it's surprising because we just saw the news of Devers signing his 10-year, $313.5 million extension just 2 years ago, making him the face of the franchise at that time. And it's led to some questions as to how did we get here? Was it Alex Bregman coming in, him moving to DH and not being interested in moving to DH, or lack of interest in playing even first base when needed? You know, what led to this move ultimately happening, in your opinion, from what you've been hearing?
I think it's all of the above. And Devers was adamant about playing third base predominantly. Like that was a position that he wanted to play and that the Red Sox promised him he would play when he signed that big extension. And obviously they have a different leader now. That Craig Breslow is there instead of Chaim Bloom. So different voice atop the front office, which means different direction for the franchise. And they wanted him to move off of third base. They wanted him to move to first base. They wanted him to move to some different positions. And it really upset him. And we even saw him speak out to the media pretty recently about his displeasure with that. And it forced the team owner, John Henry, to fly to join the team and talk to Devers and try to talk him off the ledge. And I don't think it necessarily prompted a trade demand, but it was clear that the relationship was at a point where they couldn't really salvage it. And the fact that they ended up making this trade and even doing it so far in advance of the trade deadline is so unprecedented. It's got everyone in baseball kind of honestly calling this a Luka Doncic trade of baseball, which obviously, you know, the magnitude of that one. I mean, it's a huge trade, and no one in baseball saw this coming. I legitimately thought I got duped when I got tipped off on this. It took me five different people to feel really good enough to tweet it, and I was 100% sure. But even after all the confirmations were not coming, after about 10 minutes, started to panic. But obviously, it was right, and it changed baseball.
Yeah, and I think the Luka, the analogy is kind of apropos because a lot of Red Sox fans are saying, look, like the Mavericks, we don't think we maybe got the best haul for this guy given how good he is. Do you agree with that? And where do the Red Sox sort of go next?
I absolutely agree with that. And I know there's a bunch of team executives around the league that are praising the return for the Red Sox, but you have a franchise talent in Rafael Devers, and obviously it did not work out. He was obviously very displeased about them asking him to change position as much as they were asking him to do so. But you make it work with a player like that because you need elite players to win, and moving on from Devers, it does not make you better in the short term. Maybe it gives you financial flexibility to go out and get Kyle Tucker in the offseason. But they got Jordan Hicks, who's going to factor into the bullpen. They have Kyle Harrison, who's now in AAA. They have 2 other prospects in the minors that are in lottery tickets because you never really know what prospects are going to be. I would not have done that trade if I was a Red Sox. I would have found a way to make it work somehow. And even like you don't know how long Alex Bregman is going to be there as well. So that's another factor into this thing as well. So I wouldn't have done it. I know there's other people around baseball who disagree with me, but when you have a talent like that, and you've also had a guy like Manny Ramirez for that franchise, who is not the easiest guy to work with, but you made it work and your franchise benefited from it. So again, I wouldn't have done it, but again, I don't run the Red Sox.
Well, definitely not the first time the Red Sox have been involved with a controversial trade with the NL West. We saw the Mookie Betts. We also saw the NL East in the Chris Sale trade, and now add Rafael Devers to that list.
Robert, thank you so very much for joining us, and congratulations on a great scoop. Robert Murray, MLB insider at Fansided, joining us. Robert, thanks.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
And don't go anywhere, guys. Coming up next on Front Office Sports Today, fresh off her induction into the Hall of Fame, Sylvia Fowles from the WNBA is going to be joining us to talk about the future of the W and so much more. That's coming up next on Front Office Sports Today, right after this quick break.
Maybe they are the best team out in the West because a rooting interest for me, Tom, always the Mariners. Hey, they're finally getting the heading back, but now that's starting to slide.
We can make the case for the Rangers. They shore up some things. A team that the Rangers, you and I were both very high on coming into the season. They make a shot for the wild card. But I do think it's going to be a 2-team race between the Astros and the Mariners, and that's really about it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Every 5 days, it's really exciting when Skeens pitches, and it's terrible watching him pitch because every time he pitches, they don't score.
Having him hit the lineup probably would actually help when he pitches. There's no way to do it because you can't, but yeah, it's beyond frustrating. And the numbers will tell you, the books have adjusted.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here, he'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say, yeah, I'd buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. Not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to bat 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome back, friends, to Front Office Sports Today with Renee Washington. I'm Baker Machado, and WNBA legend Sylvia Fowles was inducted into the 2025 Women's Basketball Hall of Fame over the weekend. She joined other legends like Sue Bird and Alana Beard as well. Now, the 2-time WNBA champion, 2-time Finals MVP, and 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, Sylvia Fowles is joining us right now on the show. Sylvia, thanks so much for joining us. Congratulations on this incredible honor.
Thank you for having me. You didn't have to read off my accolades like that.
No, it's not. I do that, by the way, with every guest. I do that also.
But
I also heard you got this incredible necklace that you're sharing with your mom for this amazing occasion.
Yes. So Corey and Jade and Clutch Organization came in with a necklace that was pretty cool. I was a little jealous that my mom got one too, but I guess we're going to let her live it up. But the necklace are really cool. It's made of a puzzle piece, and on that puzzle, it has my name, including my mom's name as well. And then it give like off like MVP for me, mom for mother, and #1 fan for mom, like that. It was pretty cool. It's pretty neat. I told my mom when she wear hers, I'm not wearing mine because she can't be like me.
Oh, well, I love that you have a puzzle piece that honors the relationship with you and your mom, but also you are such a big puzzle piece in the growth of the WNBA. And I'd love to get your thoughts on where it is now. Of course, we're now on the brink of the 2026 media deal, that 11-year massive deal that they signed last year. Also, expansion's been underway with 3 teams added in the last 2 seasons. As someone that is a Hall of Fame basketball player that's seen the league grow so much, with the CBA negotiations underway, what do you think in terms of like player salary, roster size, other issues are the most pressing issues that they have to prioritize to get right and continue to grow the pieces of the puzzle of the WNBA?
I feel like all the pieces are growing outside of our salary. I think we all deserve an equal cut of that. I feel like we made some strides, but it's just some things that the girls also need. And so I think we're moving in a great direction, but at the end of the day, these girls need to be paid. We do need more roster spots because people get hurt. And of course, the season is now longer. So those are some things that we have to take into consideration.
Yeah, and look, the players have so much leverage right now going into these CBA negotiations, in large part because of people like you and the growth over the years. There is a worry maybe there's going to be a strike because of this. Do you think that that might happen?
It's highly a possibility. I think this group of young women know what they want. They know what they're worth. They know how much they deserve all these things that come to them. And so if a strike have to lead to that point, then it leads to that point. But I don't think we should take less off the cut.
And when you look over the years at the WNBA, players like yourself, the legends, the icons, the Hall of Famers, the champions, the MVPs, they've always been there. They've always been there. The talent's always been there.
True.
It's just that more people are paying attention over the last few years, whether it's the veterans like Asia Wilson or the young players like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. How do you think the league has done or changed in terms of marketing when you compare your 15 seasons in the league to now to market players, to grow ticket sales and just the overall excitement around the W?
I think the players play a big part in that because they sell themselves. They post a lot of things on social media. They have a fan following from who knows when they start playing. So it just trickles back over into the WNBA. But when you're talking players like myself who paved the way, yes, we have voices, but I think this group of young women, like I said before, they just do not stand up for anything less of what they think they deserve. And I like that that goes hands in hand because it makes you have to pay attention to the things that we're doing. But at the end of the day, it's all about taking care of our bodies and getting what we deserve.
Yeah, on top of that, you mentioned the fans and social media. Obviously, it's great that more fans and more attention are coming to the league, but there's also a downside to that. And we saw that during the first game of the season between the Sky and the Fever. Do you feel like the WNBA is doing enough to really protect players from crazy fans and crazy things that are being said about you guys?
At the end of the day, I think fans are going to be fans. I think what we stick together at is that group of 144, they know what we need to do. It's all fun and games for the media to try to do the rivalry stuff and hold stuff up. But at the end of the day, I think we take care of each other as a unit. Of course, there's going to be trash talking. Of course, there's going to be rivalry. But at the end of the day, I think we understand and we respect each other. And I think the media just kind of take hold of it a tad bit too much.
Now that you've had a few seasons since your farewell tour and final retirement season, I'm curious how now your perspective on the WNBA, your career, and even just women's basketball has maybe changed since when you were in it, playing every day and in the grind.
When you're in it, you're kind of in tunnel vision, so you're not really paying attention to what's going on, especially when I was in the league. I think now that these girls has a concept of all the things that's going on around them, so they have their hand in a pot on a little bit of everything. But when I was playing, I was just worried about playing basketball. Now, these days, these girls worry about, we want to play basketball, but we also want all the perks that come with being an elite athlete.
One of the things I love about you in particular is we talk so much about players preparing for their lives after they've played, and a lot of them go into broadcasting or they go into coaching. You did the complete 180 of that. I mean, you went to an area I don't think a lot of people ever thought a player would ever get into, and that was you did mortuary sciences. You're working in a morgue, embalming bodies, all of this stuff. I'm curious how that's going. Are you still doing that? And what made you want to get into that?
So right now I'm on pause a little bit because I'm actively running around more than I thought I would have into retirement, but that's still highly on the board. What got me into it, I was always interested in it as a kid. And I think once I started thinking about my future after basketball, it kind of just trickled back to the full front. And I just love what I do. I love working with kids. I love being the embummer, but also too, I just love doing things that don't stick to the basketball narrative of you have to be a coach or you have to be an anchor.
Yes, more than an athlete, more than a coach. And I love that you were also starting and working through your degree back when you won MVP back in 2017. So winning MVP and getting a degree going hand in hand. But my last question for you, Sylvia, now as you are maybe taking a step back from that endeavor, is there anything else in terms of maybe basketball you're getting involved with or just any other business ventures that you're looking to tap into?
I'm trying to tap into everything, to be honest. I've been having great opportunities just to travel to work with the youth. At some point, I think I will start trickling back into basketball where you probably will want to see me around as a commentator or as a coach. I think those feelings are now starting to come back, but I want to do a little bit of everything. I don't want to be limited in the box.
More to come then.
I'm liking that. Amazing. Sylvia, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on all your success and being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame inductee Sylvia Fouts joining us here on Front Office Sports today. And coming up next, everyone, we're diving into the NBA offseason already. Next, right after this.
Their team total is 19.5 wins. I told you to go under, and it's by far the best bet I have recommended on this network in 4 years. They can't get out of their own way. And now Sloot is out for the year. Let's hope Sloot gets back because I respect the hell out of Sloot, and I want her to go out on her own terms. Hopefully we'll have her back for the 26th season.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I got a feeling Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. I got a feeling there is no chance they're going to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just kidding.
They're still not expected to have over 8.5 wins. They're still not expected to have a winning record. Now, I know things could change for the next 24 hours. I get that. But everyone expected Aaron Rodgers to sign with him. He's going to sign with him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of thoughts.
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And welcome back, friends, to Front Office Sports today with Renee. I'm Baker, and the NBA offseason already underway as the Orlando Magic have acquired star Desmond Bane from the Memphis Grizzlies for a package that includes 4 first-round picks and 2 other players in that deal. So the big question, Renee, is this going to be sort of the line for what a lot of players are going to be getting this offseason? So let's bring in Alex Schiffer, our Front Office Sports reporter who's been following this and so much more for us. So Alex, this is a lot of picks for this particular player. Is this going to be the market rate for this offseason for other players like Durant and even Giannis?
Yeah, props to the person who had Desmond Bane to Orlando for 4 first-round picks on their bingo card for this NBA offseason. You know, it's funny. I think that this could be the highest thing we get unless Giannis asks out, because Kevin Durant's been incredible, you know, his entire career. He hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. But to trade 4 first-round picks, which is what the Suns got from the first time around or gave up for him, He's 36, going to be 37 or 37 going on 38. He's going to be really expensive. I think it's tough and he has a history of asking out, obviously, and being nomadic. So I think it's tough to see this kind of return for Kevin Durant, even though on paper it might be justifiable outside of the age. I think Giannis and maybe John Morant, if Memphis is really going to tear this all down, are some guys who could command a return like that. But I don't think Kevin Durant's going to be the one who gets that kind of package back for him.
Yeah, Bane is owed $163 million over the next 4 seasons, and we're also talking about the draft capital that was included in that deal. It does make you wonder around Kevin Durant, as Shams reported on Saturday, the 3 teams for the Rockets, Spurs, and Heat as the 3 teams that he would want to go to. 3 teams in states that do not have to deal with state income tax. So for Kevin Durant, in terms of his market, but also in terms of state income tax and other factors, what do you think we're going to be seeing for that Durant deal? Because it already is not looking like it's going to be comparable to what Brooklyn and Phoenix had for him 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, I've never met someone who likes paying taxes, but given Kevin Durant's net worth, I'm not sure how much of a deal breaker that is. Houston is very interesting to me because Houston has control of the Suns' picks, right? Just like the Nets got control of their own destiny back in that trade last year with the Rockets, the Suns have that ability as well. And there is some history there with Ime Udoka, Royale Ivey, Texas Longhorns legend, who is the godfather. Kevin Durant's the godfather of his kid. And they played together in OKC. I think there's a lot to like about what the Rockets can offer compared to those other 2 teams. San Antonio's a little sentimental. He played right in Austin, right, college basketball, and Texas. They're right by each other, and he's been the Miami Heat's white whale with all the times they've missed out on him. So I think the Rockets still have the most to benefit from a Kevin Durant trade because there's the relationships there. They're built to win right now, and the Suns can get their picks back and tank for a bit.
All right, you mentioned John Morant maybe could be one person that the Grizzlies also ship off this offseason. But if you look at this deal with Orlando, they have a first-round pick in 2025, 26, 28, 29, and 30. Is this sort of the OKC model that you're going to see a lot of other teams now try to implement?
Interesting.
I think so. I think a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference right now are looking around at the Celtics being out of commission for next season because of Jason Tatum's Achilles, basically, and the moves they have to make to keep their payroll down. And I think a lot of teams are saying, we should go for this right now. This should be our shot. So I think teams with that kind of capital are going to make that offer, especially in the East, because they have a window that's opened up for them right now, and they're going to jump into it.
Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting, Dee. The NBA offseason already starting during the NBA Finals.
Of course, the KD deal expected very soon, too. So
exactly. Our Alex Schiffer, thank you so much, Alex, for that. And let's see, guys, what's bubbling over at the FOS water cooler. Well, Renee, Caitlin Clark's monster 32-point return Saturday and the Fever's win over the then undefeated New York Liberty included our very first look at Clark's new custom Nike Kobe 6 sneakers called the Bellas, designed as a tribute to her dog Bella. The sneaks feature a peach, pink, and gold design with her golden retriever's face printed on the insole of the shoe. Now, these particular shoes not going to be released to the public, but Nike is going to drop 2 of Caitlin Clark's exclusive Kobe basketball sneakers later this summer. This is all part of her reported $28 million deal with Nike. Woof, what do you think of these?
What a great way to tease out the launch of a shoe.
Yeah.
Honestly, Indiana has gotten it right twice. This reminds me of Tyrese Halliburton as he debuted his new shoes to Hallie in the NBA Finals. And now Caitlin Clark gets to do it as we're talking about the historic distance of her 3-pointers in that game. She had
insane.
7 threes. You look at the distance of each of these, insane, including 3 of them in the span of 45 seconds. So while we're all raving about her return and how tremendous she played to help them beat the defending champs in the Liberty and hand them their first loss, you also get to see her in their new sneaks. Then you saw the Indiana Fever take to social media. They're on X, they're on Instagram, they're posting about it. They're sharing behind the scenes videos and promoting her shoe, which you don't often see teams do.
No.
So shout out to Caitlin Clark, her PR team, the Fever, the WNBA. They got this one right, and these shoes are actually really cute. So it's great to see her back, and I'm actually all for the sneaks when they drop
when
this
these
summer.
shoes come out, you know they're going to sell like crazy. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this edition of the show. I actually am thinking about getting my own dog printed on my shoes if I can.
Yeah, I'm going to buy a dog and then get it printed on mine, too.
The Martins are the shoes. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day.